In this episode of DIY Man, I'm going to show you step by step how to build this porch swing. Let's start this porch swing today by building the frame for the seat. Let's cut up some 2x4s to build this part. We need 2 pieces at 45 inches, then we'll need to cut 4 at 19. I'll be assembling most of this porch swing today with 3-inch exterior screws. A lot of times you can get these much cheaper than you can at Lowe's or Home Depot if you buy them by the pound at your local lumber store. I do also want to mention that I am going to be pre-drilling most of these holes when I'm using these screws. But in the interest of time, I'm going to cut these parts out through the rest of the video. First, let's attach 2 of these 19-inch boards flush with the 2 sides between the 2 long ones. Now let's evenly space these other 2 in the middle here. The middle of these 2 boards should be roughly 15 3/8 from each side. You don't have to get these perfect though. Next, let's build a back for our porch swing. To build this part, we're going to need to cut 4 2x4s at 23.5 inches. Once we do that, let's make a few marks on all of these boards. Let's mark 2¼ inches over from the right side of all of these, then 3 inches from the bottom. Once we've made these marks, let's take the bottom corner of a 2x4 and the opposite corner on the other side and place it on these marks. Now, I'll just mark the 2 inside edges of this board. Once that's complete, I'll go ahead and cut this piece out. I'll just use this board as a template to mark the other 3. We're only going to cut 1 more of these out, but we still need to mark the other 2. One thing I want to note though is that on the last 2, we want these to be mirror images of each other. To get these pieces to match perfectly, I usually clamp them together, then sand them down with a 60 grit sandpaper. Once that's complete, we'll attach these 2 middle ones to the seat frame. I'll use some 3-inch screws and some wood glue to attach these in line with these middle braces. Next, we'll attach the left and right side on the outside edge of the seat frame. As you can see, I'm attaching it on the marks I made earlier. Alright, now that that's complete, let's move on to the next step. And that's going to be to make some armrests for our porch swing. To build this, first let's cut out two 2x4s at 14 inches long. These are going to be attached on the outside edge flush with the front of the porch swing. Okay, next let's cut out two more 2x4s that are 26 inches long. On the bottom of both of these pieces, let's draw a line 1 inch away from the front. Then on the back side of our armrest, let's make a mark that's 1.5 inches from one side, then 2 inches from the very back. We're going to use these marks to draw a rectangle that we'll cut out here in a second with our jigsaw. Let's give the front of our armrest a curved appearance by tracing a paint can. I'll just cut these out with the jigsaw here. And just like I did before, I'll clamp these two together, then sand them down with a 60 grit sandpaper to make them match perfectly. For this next part, I'm going to put a 1/4 inch roundover bit in my router. Then I'll just router the edges of my armrest. If you don't have a router, this part's totally optional. Here's what our armrests should look like before we attach them. Notice the back side of these two pieces are mirror images of each other. Then on the front, I still have my 1 inch mark. Let's attach these with wood glue and 3-inch screws right on the edge of that mark. For the back, I'll just square it up and attach it wherever it hits. For the next step, we're going to be assembling the back, which I used 1x4s to make. And since lumber prices are so high right now, I actually found 1x8s at a great price, so I'm going to rip a couple of those down. Let's cut 4 of these pieces to 48 inches long. On the piece that attaches just above the armrest, I cut out a 1.5 by 3/4 inch rectangle on the bottom corners. I'll just attach these boards with wood glue and a finishing nailer. If you're only using 4 boards like I did, the gap between these should be about 2¼ inches. Next, we're going to make the seat top. And to do this, I'm going to cut up 5 1x4s at 45 inches. I'll attach these to the seat top the same way. With 5 boards, the gap on these should be about 1/2 inch. I'm just going to do a little bit of sanding here before we move on to finishing it. And finishing it is probably the worst part. That's why you have somebody else do it. To attach my porch swing, I'm going to use some 5/16 by 4 inch hook screws. These are super simple to attach. I just pre-drilled a couple holes, then attached them about 2 inches up from the bottom. Most porch swing kits should work with these hook screws. I'll put a link for a porch swing kit in the description below for you. Most of these kits should screw right into the ceiling of your porch. Just make sure you attach them far enough away where they don't rub the armrests. And now we have a completed porch swing. With the exception of the finishing, this project only took me about 3 hours. And you don't need any specialty tools to build this. I hope you enjoyed this project. Smash like for me if you did, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next build.